Hello, everybody. Professor Barth here, Associate Professor of History at Arizona State University. Going audio only today for our monthly Inflation Nation update. It is September 13th. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released the CPI data, Consumer Price Index, for the month of August, and it's not good. Stocks are down sharply since the release of these numbers. As of 12:45 Arizona time, the last I checked, the Dow Jones is down 4%, more than 1,300 points. That is a massive drop. The year-over-year Consumer Price Index rose 8.3%. The projection was 8.1%, so it was a little higher than that. The core CPI, I think, is the most pessimistic part of the data release this morning. Core CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index minus food and energy. Food and energy are more volatile sectors, and so core CPI is supposed to give you a better picture. Core CPI month over month for the month of August was double what the experts had estimated. The experts had said, it'll be about 0.3% increase in core CPI, which is what the core CPI increase in July was. Instead, it was 0.6%, so double the estimate. And here you see the headline: inflation isn't just about fuel cost anymore. Gasoline went down about 10% in the month of August. Price increases broaden across the economy. Rather than fuel, it was food, shelter, and medical services that drove costs higher in August, slapping a costly tax on those least able to afford it. I had an angry comment a few months ago from somebody who said, "You should know better. Inflation is not a tax. It's different than a tax." And what an ignorant comment to make, because actually, no, inflation is a form of tax. It's an indirect tax, but it is every bit as much impactful on an American family who's spending on average $400, $500 extra dollars a month to provide for the household. If you're having to spend $400, $500 extra dollars a month because of inflation, there's no essential difference, really, de facto, between that and getting directly taxed $500 a month, like straight from your pocketbook. It's essentially, functionally the same thing. It's just one is more hidden. The inflation tax is a bit easier to hide than a direct tax. And so that's why, again, I repeat, when the president said we'll not raise taxes on Americans making less than $400,000 a year, that is just not correct. American families have paid a very heavy tax through inflation. And look at this, the food at home index, a good proxy for grocery prices. Over the past year over year, August of 2021 through August of 2022, increased 13.5%. Look at this, the largest such rise since March 1979. March 1979 is the last time that we've seen yearly grocery prices at such a the inflation in grocery prices year over year at such a high inflation rate. This was just a couple hours ago. Dow down 800 points. Now it's more than 1,300 points. The stock market's tanking. Why? Because, well, people know that this signals the Federal Reserve is going to increase the federal funds rate at its next FOMC meeting, which is September 20th. So in just a week from today, the Federal Open Market Committee will meet. And we're looking at least 75 basis point hike, or 0.75 percentage point at least. And I think they need to go harder. You gotta go harder. You gotta go. I think you're gonna have to hike You have to going to go at least a full percentage point, which the FOMC has never done since, before 1990, the FOMC never announced a set target federal funds rate. That practice was adopted in the early 1990s. Now, before that, the federal funds rate increased in larger increments than even a full percentage point. But since the Fed began announcing their target federal funds rate in the early 1990s, the Fed has never announced a target increase of a full percentage point. We may see that September 20th. If I was a gambling man, and I'm not, I would still bet on a 75 basis point hike, but it's not going to be half a percentage point at this point. It's not going to be a more moderate 50 basis points, and that's why the market is down so much, because we've got that tightening. I'll tell you what else the Fed needs to do. The Fed needs to speed up the quantitative tightening, the QT. Quantitative tightening, which, by the way, is going to impact the Treasury market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury right now is 3.4%. Again, as of noon time, Arizona time zone. 3.4%. I mean, at the beginning of this year, it was 1.5%. The yield on the 10-year. Quantitative tightening began this summer. The Fed was allowing $45 billion worth of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities to roll off the balance sheet. The Fed's balance sheet is just shy of $9 trillion. And this month, in September, that rate of quantitative tightening has doubled to $95 billion. So right now, the Fed is allowing $95 billion worth of securities, assets, to roll off its balance sheet. But that's not enough. They're gonna have to speed that up. So look for talk. Look for more word out there about the Fed accelerating its QT program. That's going to have an impact on the treasury markets, as the Fed is no longer a major player in that bond market, is no longer buying up new U.S. debt. Now, interestingly, I saw this in Bloomberg. I live in the valley here in the Phoenix metro area. Phoenix metro area is huge. It's like the 5th largest metro area in the country. A lot of people don't realize that. It's Phoenix. It's Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert, Glendale, Chandler. Metro Phoenix right now has the highest inflation in the entire United States. So maybe some critics of my videos may say, Barth, you're biased because you're living in Phoenix. Right now, look at that. Phoenix inflation is at 13%. 13%. And look at that. Wow. That's something else. It's strange because Atlanta is 11.7%. Miami is 10.7%. Look at these high rates. Why are these rates so high? Well, I think a lot of people are moving to the Sun Belt. They're fleeing blue states that and Democratic rule in California and New York and elsewhere, and they're going to Georgia, they're going to Florida, they're going to Arizona. We've got a lot of California refugees here. I feel like every other license plate practically is a California license plate when you're driving around town in Phoenix. But so it depends on what city you're in. San Francisco is just 5.7%. LA was 7.6%. So that's interesting as well. The differential in inflation rate depending on where you live. High housing costs is what is dogging the Sun Belt, again, because we have California refugees. Now the question is that California refugee going to continue to vote Democrat? Okay, because a lot of them are. You wouldn't think they would be that ignorant, but a lot of them are fleeing California because of the disaster that California has become, and then they bring their politics with them. On the flip side, you have a lot of people fleeing California who will vote Republican and know what's up. So it's a mixed bag with with the California refugees we have here in Arizona. But what it is doing is it's creating housing market here in Phoenix and in Miami and other places that is skyrocketing. Look at that. Shelter costs year over year in metropolitan Phoenix climbed 19% compared with a 6.2% gain nationwide. Hey, people want to come to Arizona. Again, don't bring your politics with you from your blue state, and you're welcome to come, but it does impact our housing costs and the inflation rate, but that's okay. So here is the graph. This is a CPI year over year. Here's where we are right now, still over 8%. We've been over 8% CPI year over year for 6 straight months now. 6 straight months over 8%. If someone had told you that a year ago, you would have been quite shocked. Here's another way to look at it: a line graph. And here's zoomed out over the last 2 decades. So we are in a very difficult spot right now, obviously. Core CPI. Core CPI again, taking away food and energy. Look at this. Core CPI year over year up. It's at the highest it's been in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 since 5 months. In 5 months, it's the high core CPI year over year is higher than it's been in over 5 months. So that's not a good number, because what it signals is that the slightly lower rate that we see here, the decline from 9.1%, the inflation rate in June was 9.1%, so a slight decline we've seen since then is really driven by the decline in gasoline. So in gas prices. So the falling gas prices are primarily what's behind this slight decline in July and August. But if you look at core, take away energy, of which gas prices are a prominent part, and it's up, the inflation rate. Not a good number. Here's the CPI month over month. Month over month is a very useful statistic to consider because it gives you that more zoomed in picture, even more so than year over year. You remember the last update I made, we had some light fun reflecting on Biden's statement that there was zero inflation in the month of July. Well, what did he mean by that? Well, the CPI in the aggregate month over month was 0% because gas prices again kept it down. Similar phenomenon here in August. But again, gas prices, airfare as well, airline, as we'll see, airline fares are down, and that's had quite an impact. Airline fares make up several percentage points of the CPI. But look at core. Again, core. Take away energy, take away food, take away energy, and look, core CPI 0.6% month over month. Again, the estimate was 0.3. Economists thought it would be the same as it was in the month of July. Not the case. 0.6%, and so this is as high as it's ever been. The month of June was 0.7%. And you watch a video I made last month, and I said, okay, if you want to be real optimistic about these figures, focus a little less on this, and let's look at core 0.3%. I'm going to need several months in a row of either 0.3%, but preferably 0.2, 0.1, or just 0. Several months in a row of core CPI at near 0% before I'm persuaded that we've got inflation. We're starting to get inflation perhaps a bit under control, but I suspect that's not going to happen. And sure enough, shot right back up, and we're at 0.6% core CPI increase month over month for the month of August. And then this just breaks it down. Won't go through all these, but I have the month over month figure and then the year over year figure on the the left hand, the left side, the right side's year over year. And you look at it, the big one here again, food at home, which is your grocery price, your grocery bill, for year over year up 13.5%. 13.5%. I mean, that is brutal. I provide for a family of six. Single income. My weekly grocery bill, I was trying to make a rough estimate prior to making this video. Maybe about $200 a week. Maybe sometimes a little more than that. Depends on if we're stocking up on canned goods or whatever. But let's say I spend $200 a week on groceries. Might spend a little more than that, but we'll say $200. That means in the last year, that $200 grocery bill from August of 2021 will now cost me $225. $225. That's a $25 increase every single week. Multiply that by 4, and I'm looking at $100 a month, and that's just food. That's not even including the increase price, the price increases in other areas in which I must provide for my family. That makes a big difference. Now I'm very blessed with a job at ASU, and so we can take it on. I got it. But if you're a family living on the edge, like you're living paycheck to paycheck, that can break you. And again, it makes a mockery of the whole idea. Oh, you won't, if you make less than $400,000, less than $400,000 salary, you won't see your taxes increased. But if you're a family living paycheck to paycheck, and your grocery bill is up $25 a week, that promise rings a bit hollow, doesn't it? So, and you just go down the line. Meat, poultry, eggs up 11%. Dairy products up 16%. Cereal and bakery products up 16.5%. Non-alcoholic beverages up 13%. Other food at home, which all the miscellaneous foods, up almost 17%. So that's a big deal. Now, one interesting stat, I looked at all of the previous CPI reports from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And interestingly, the month-over-month food inflation for August was slightly down, 0.8%, even though the year-over-year is the highest it's been since March of 1979. This is the highest since March of 1979. Yet, if you look at just the price increases in the month of August, it's 0.8% increase, which is just a shade lighter than the inflation month over month that we've seen this calendar year. In fact, this is actually the first time this calendar year that the month over month inflation of food is under 1%. But you compare it to the end of last year, and it's higher than what we had last December. It's still higher than what we had last November. It's comparable to last fall. So what explains this, I'm not sure. This may have something to do with gas prices being lower, but I don't know why it's slightly down in August. But nevertheless, the year over year, still 13.5%. That's a big deal. What about energy? Well, still up a whole lot for the year, but you'll note, and this is again why this has tempered the CPI in the last 2 months. Gasoline down in the month of August 12.2%. It's still up 25.6% for the year since August of 2021, but down 12%. Electricity up 1%. Natural gas up 4%. That's a considerable increase in both electricity and natural gas in the month of August. If you look at the month over month total energy prices, which includes gasoline, minus 6.2% for the month of August. And so this and the July numbers is what has again tempered that CPI. But how permanent is this? I don't have a whole lot of confidence that this is going to continue to decrease every single month. In fact, I think we may see this reverse not too long from now, and then that'll make a big difference. It may also impact this number here in food prices. Here's gasoline month over month. Look at that, March of 2022. Just in that month, gas prices went up 20%. In the month of June, up 10%. Month of May was up 8%, but July and August things have gone down. So that has an impact. If you look at electricity and natural gas together, month over month, went up almost 2% for the month of August. And again, you see how volatile these sectors are. This again is the reason why core inflation is very useful to look at, because it eliminates, not that energy prices don't matter, they absolutely do, especially in the summertime when you're running your air conditioning unit. Nevertheless, by subtracting that from the statistics, we can have a good idea. So core is quite useful in that respect. Then here's just the other breakdown. Apparel was up, clothing was up almost 2% in the month of August. That's a big increase. Medical care services up 6% for the year, and it just goes. You can view the different things here. The airline fares down 9% in the month of August. Still for the year up 33%. Shelter, which is a very, as I've explained in many previous videos, is a very problematic stat to compile. Up 0.7% in the month of August, up 6.2% for the year. So again, Fed in a very difficult position. They need to go more aggressive than 75 basis points, and I think they need to accelerate the QT. Will that trigger a major economic downturn? Well, I think we're seeing that right now, aren't we? Who knows where the stock market is going to end up later today. Things might bounce back from later this afternoon. There might be a sort of a rally this afternoon. We'll see. But obviously, this is a very shaky economy, and the Fed, there's really no way that the Fed can get this inflation under control in a meaningful way without triggering an economic downturn. So that's where we are, and we'll see what the FOMC does in 1 week from today. And until next time, God bless.